prices for the masonry and the carpentry for the roof, et cetera. And once we have the prices, I'm going to go back to the Board of Ed, give them the information that we have, and they're going to figure out how to fund the rest of the project.
Thank you, Bill.
And for the record, let's just point out that this is a collaborative effort. You know, we talk a lot about the town and the Board of Ed working together, and we have a new superintendent, and, you know, Bill's put in countless hours on this project already. The demolition, and now the foundation, the cement slab.
I think I saw it last night. I was wondering, what's that?
Yeah, they're playing out there, but we're gonna pour cement, and Bill's working on this in an effort to help the Board of Ed and to work together. Let's point that out, that we're heading in that direction.
As
Great.
a matter of fact, when we had to demolish them in an emergency, Weiss Construction is also a demolition contractor, and he came right out and did it for us at a very, very reasonable price. I don't
Great.
remember how much it was, otherwise I'd tell you.
Thanks again, Bill.
Well, I'm glad that they're coming up with a plan. And we didn't bond.
So yeah, the Board of Ed will be back in touch, or I think Jeff will,
Yeah.
and
If
we're
they're
gonna
kinda off
schedule
right
certainly
now.
at least, you know,
Yeah.
quarterly, and we'll see if it's monthly presentations.
I think they wanted to come monthly, or some representative.
No, they're on the agenda, so we'll.
Yep, let's keep them there.
Anna, you're up.
Good evening. Draft reports for June were in your green folders. I just want to point out on the revenue side, in around mid-May, we had a server crash, and most departments here in Town Hall were without, we were without computers for about a day and a half because everything had to be restored. However, there were some issues with the backup and the tax department's records. We have been working on restoration. While the tax office is up and operational relative to collecting the current year taxes, there were issues with back year taxes, supplemental taxes. And so until that is all rectified, we cannot post any batches from last year. So any batches from mid-May through the end of June have not been posted in the general ledger system.
So is that why the taxes look so low compared to 2014? I'm like,
Yes,
it's like
so
a 50.
if you look at the very end of the revenue report, the total taxes we collected in May were a little over 90,000, and then the June tax receipts are a little over 54,000. And
Could you show me what report you're looking at?
the revenue report.
Oh, got it, thank you.
Okay, so I've written them in. What the tax department is doing is, for all those days when they couldn't use the system, they're logging their deposits, and they're logging them by the tax bill number and what was paid and so on and so forth, getting a total, so that, and they're actually recording the data on spreadsheets in accordance with a format that was designated by the software provider that we use, so that once everything is in the system, they're going to be able to take the information, the data from all these spreadsheets, and just write a program so that they can get entered in the system and posted without doing it all manually. That's on the tax side. So once they're all posted on the tax side, then we will post them in the general ledger. And so that's kind of why I have to manually write them in at this point.
That affected the monthly revenues too, and along with the taxes?
Only the taxes,
Or
because
the revenues are like,
so it's only the the tax department records that we cannot post. As of yesterday, we were updated that it's expected it's going to take another 2 to 3 weeks to get the tax, all back up and operational. So hopefully by the time of your meeting next month, I'll be able to have the information in the general ledger and give you good updated reports. So
Could I ask you a question about
Sure.
what you just discussed?
Sure.
So, if I understand this right,
Mhm.
because our fiscal year ended June 30th,
correct.
July 1st, what
Right.
have you. So our total revenues in is really 64.9
Correct.
and change. So we're 500 short, right?
Which-
500,000.
Which would be, so we applied 750,000 in surplus, plus did an additional $146,000 special appropriation for the lawsuit settlement. So the net difference, which is approximately $500,000, that would be how much of fund balance we use.
Okay.
So that's.
Thank you.
However, this is just a draft report. I still need to look at and book various receivables that we will have. So that isn't done at this point.
Okay, thank you.
But Anna, your general budget summary that has 97% year-to-date, encumbrances and everything, will that ultimately reach 100 or?
At this point, I am expecting that there will be at least $500,000, remaining unexpended,
Okay, so there's your difference of 3%.
which
Okay.
would be.
So.
Don't spend that on Weeskins now. Thank you. Anybody else have any questions for? Go ahead.
Camille.
I do. Regarding the tuition from other districts, we're about $150,000 short there.
No, that's over.
Over. So.
So that was the
was that the
reconciliation?
Yeah, okay, the reconciliation. And on the first page, let me see, is it LOCIP,
Yes,
Local Capital Improvement?
right.
So there we're short. We're not,
That will be a receivable.
it will, so that's a reconciling item to happen yet. Okay. So how much do you anticipate that we'll have to pull from the fund balance? If we're showing a $500,000 shortfall?
I expect that gap is going to be, will be decreased before we get to your final reports. I was projecting 350-ish that we would be using from fund balance.
Okay. And how much is in the fund balance?
Well, we originally started with 750 plus an additional 146,000. So that about 900,000.
That's how much we were gonna pull from it.
Correct.
That's not what's in the fund
That's
balance
correct.
is roughly $8 million.
Oh, it's not that high. It's more like,
I'm sorry, 5 million.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we have 5, we want to get to 8?
We want to get to 8%. 8%.
But we're close to 8%.
We're at we were in the high sevens, and I was expecting us to get to that 8% level at the end of this year with all the operating results, when I was doing projections earlier.
Do you feel that way now?
I still do, because on the expenditure side, that's where my concern was, is how low we spent down. But I'm still expecting that we'll have at least $500,000. I feel comfortable
So you
at
think,
that level.
given the revenue side, you're still comfortable that there'll be a $500,000 surplus
On the expense
generated by
side.
the expenditure side?
Correct.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay, I thought we just said that there was
Well, you're-
500 less.
Well, you're looking at two different things. So if we brought in less but spent less, or,
Okay.
I don't want
All
to
right.
speak for Anna.
That's correct.
Okay.
I still didn't want to speak for now.
Any other areas of concern you want to enlighten us about, Anna?
Actually, I have to say that I was going through, budgets and reviewing where we had overexpended accounts at the end of the year, and the departments really did a much better job this year than they have in the past. So I was quite pleased, because the better job that everyone else does relative to that makes my life a lot easier. So it was definitely I definitely noticed it this year.
Do we have the final increase in health insurance, percentage-wise?
Do you want to speak on that?
Well, we're at zero right now. Zero expended other than the last 8 days. So what we're projecting is a 14% increase. That's what we're targeting.
What was the
We'll-
assumption again, 12 or 14? in
I'm
the
sorry?
budget? What was the assumption again in the budget, the percentage?
We budgeted for
19.
10 or
No,
12.
12.
12. We're hoping that we'll be at 14. The trends show 19.
Yeah.
We went with 14 with our employees. That's a heavy hit for them, and we'll see where we go. I don't know where to go from there. I mean, it's a conversation we're going to have again.
Because we have the Board of Ed issue too with the insurance that
Well, yeah,
we heard
and
a little
that's-
bit about, but then we didn't hear
They're
anything else.
2/3 of the. They're 75% of our health. 75% of the health customers
Because of
on our plan
employees.
are coming out of the Board of Ed. We
And
we
they
have
put
to
in
work.
what percent was
When
theirs?
you're talking to
75%.
14%.
No,
you're
what
talking to
percent
the town
increase
side.
did they do in their budget?
14%.
They put 14 in their
14%.
stuff?
Yeah,
Okay.
and we kind of work together. Again, a lot of collaboration. If they went 14 and when we went 16 or 18, it would have been like, how come we're on the same health plan and they're getting a 14% increase? And don't forget they were budgeting for 4%.
4%.
So they had a long way to make up. So there was a little bit of that going on. I think that they had budgeted at 12, like we budgeted at 12. We could have assumed been a little bit higher on that percentage, but we're sticking with 14%. It might be a wish list kind of thing. It might
So
be
there
wishful
might be
thinking.
a request from either the Board of Ed or the town.
It might be. Yeah,
At some point.
it might be. And in the same token, we are in our negotiations with these unions asking for larger increases in their sharing, cost sharing.
How's that going?
We're in arbitration now. So yeah.
Keep up the good work.
Yeah. Hey, we got to be in
Yeah.
this together, and that's the other thing. We're partners with our people. It's the lifeblood of our town is the people that work for it, not the buildings.
Yep.
The magic's inside the buildings. So, we want our good people to stay. So we got to give them a fair wage and a fair benefit too. So there's a balance in there somewhere.
Are you shopping that out, or is that with the?
Yeah, we shopped it out this year, Steve. There's not too much out there to pick and choose from. And we went back to Anthem, who we had 2 years ago, and they were higher. And again, don't forget, we self-insure. So most of the increases are just the doctor bills that we're cutting checks for, and we don't cut them. The administrators do, which is now Aetna, and they charge us a lower fee to do that service for us than Anthem. And that's really the cost. That's the cost driver. The cost driver is the fact that we have employees that are using their health insurance more. The cost of health insurance is that much more. The cost of medical bills are that much higher. And we do have an aging workforce. We've heard all these stories about how there's less kids in our school system. Well, we also have an aging. We have an aging town, but an aging workforce as well. We have a lot of people that stick around and work for us for a career, not just a stepping stone. And we're better off as a town. I look around my department head meeting yesterday, and there's some people who have been around for a long time, and that's good. We have some built-in knowledge there. So, anyway, but it does hurt us in the health insurance.
Any other questions from the board for Anna? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. The first item is a special appropriation of $20,600 from the CNRE Fund 32 fiber optic OPM grant.
Yeah, it's the last little link in town that we need and that is this link of the Connecticut High-Speed CEN network. We have our police department on, and I believe our fire department's on it too. And what we're going to do is connect our town hall to it, and Bill's here to give a brief on it.
Apparently I have a lot of hats tonight.
Yes, you do.
The state of Connecticut has recognized that town governments and emergency services really need to be tied into high-speed networks for many, many reasons, which I won't get into. So they offered a grant. We've been in this process for a little over a year to tie the town hall into the CEN, which is the Connecticut Education Network. All the schools and all the libraries are already on it. They've been on it for years, but they're allowing us access to it. They will be charging us a fee, which is basically equivalent to what we'd be paying for our current high-speed internet. Our current high-speed internet in this building is very poor, to say the least. We're getting about 3 to 5 megabytes per second, which is really bad, because considering we have every single person in this building on this network, and we need our internet for many things. We have a lot of services in town hall. Downstairs, our cell phones don't work. Our cell phones actually go through a Verizon network extender, which goes through the internet. So when somebody calls me and my phone doesn't work well, I have to tell them I'm going to call them back on a landline. We have many other services that, our email, everything. So they're going, for the same price we're paying for our current internet service, we're going to be upgrading from 3 megabytes to 1 gigabyte. That's 3 to 1,000.
Yeah.
That's like lightning. And what this is prior to this, I know Dickie was here before, or I'm not sure if you guys have even heard of the PSDN network, Public Safety Data Network. The state came in and gave fiber optic drops at dispatch, at the police station, and at Nyack 1 fire station, so that they can run their IMC programs, all their emergency service programs, which they really needed because we had problems up to that point in time. Now, that fiber optic endpoint in those locations, you can just plug another port into it, which will be CEN. Basically, it's all on the same fiber, but it's 2 different networks. They run through the same fiber, but they're completely separate, which is internet. CEN is internet. Public PSDN is strictly a closed network for their public safety information. So what we're going to do, the state has given us this grant to run a fiber cable from this building over to the Nyack Fire Station and plug into that port over there, which would be CEN. And as part of that, because FiberTech, one of the state vendors on state contract, owns the line, we need to get a lease to use that line. So part of their grant is to pay for the full 20-year lease to use that line. So the only reoccurring cost we would have was with a $50 a month maintenance fee for that line, and our Nutmeg Network user fees, which are essentially the same as an internet connection. So this is a really good deal. We're in bad strait, in a bad way with internet here, and we need this, and the state is willing to pay for it. So I will entertain any questions that you have.
I'm seeing no downside.
As an addition, the community center is already right next to the library, so we're firing up another port in the library, and we're going to tie into that. It's all the same contract, so we have the same data rate. So that shortly here, the community center will tie into that. We're going to tie into there. We have a VPN, virtual private network, between us and the community center. It's like they're in this building. It doesn't work really well right now. It's actually very poor. As soon as all this fiber is connected, that will work very well. They'll be like they're in this building. And same with dispatch. Dispatch will be on a port up there, so everybody in the town, including the PD, will seem like they're in this building.
When is this scheduled to be implemented?
We've already submitted the paperwork. The state should be sending us a check. I talked to FiberTech today, so assuming this goes through town meeting, I'm hoping we can be up in 3 months. That's
Great.
I don't know how long FiberTech's going to take. I've never run fiber before, so I'm guessing 3 months. Thank you.
Bill, just one quick
Yes.
question. What were to happen if Town Hall were to move, say, to Lily B. Haynes, that facility?
That already has a CEN drop. So
It does, because
yes,
it's part of the
because
whole
it's a
school network. So the 20,000 that's being spent to hook this building up would just be transferred to whatever.
The fiber's there. So it's the putting the fiber in place that's the hard part. It's the most expensive part. Fiber optics are extremely expensive. So there's already fiber there. If shifts were made and PD came here, fiber's here.
This upgrades the value of this building, though, as we look to see what purpose it would have in the future.
As long as it's a municipal use. If it's, well,
According to the grant, right,
well,
OPM.
yes, as long as it's a municipal use.
Okay, thanks.
Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move to approve a special appropriation in the amount of $20,600 in CNRE Fund 32 to an account to be established for a grant awarded by the Connecticut Office of Policy and Management to install and lease for 20 years a fiber optic connection from the Town Hall to the Niantic Fire Station, where it will tie into the Connecticut Education Network.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 6-0. Next item is a special appropriation to allocate CNRE $40,000 to upgrade town hall servers. Is that you, Bill?
You heard Anna talk about our server crash earlier this
Yeah.
year and the problems we had with these very, very old servers that should have been replaced years ago. Well, we're getting it done because that's the lifeblood of our government, is our records and our billing and our tax records, you know. So Bill's going to give you some details, probably not tons.
No.
Necessary.
As you know, I've come to you before, we brought Star Computers in on contract last July. Best decision we've ever made. I anticipated that it would take them 2 years to become fully enmeshed in our systems. And as part of that, over the past many years, I've been in front of you telling you that our capital request for $15,000 lately, the $10,000 was for computer replacement, the $5,000 was to be put towards servers. Now that Star Computers is enmeshed in our system, they were just getting ready to go into our servers. They'd been on our servers fixing fires, but they were getting ready to go in there and evaluate, check our backups, and we had an issue. We had a server crash, and we had a backup crash. Dave's here. Dave Lewis from Star Computers is here. He's going to explain this in more detail because it's exceeding my technical abilities. So we had many problems, and in the midst of that, well, as Mark started explaining, we have the assessor data, the tax data, all the finances for the whole town, all our emails. Everything is in a little room downstairs. Because we don't have fiber, we don't have offsite backups. Everything is in a backup downstairs. My plan was to come to you next year with Star's recommendations for a server upgrade program, but this issue that we had brought all this to light rather abruptly. We actually, we did have backups, and we did manage to restore everything. We did realize at that point that a small portion of our data of one of these valuable services was not being backed up. So we lost a portion of our data. We didn't lose it. We had it all. We had to do some manual input to put the data back in, and we pieced it together. So it was time consuming, and we never want to do that again. So our plan is an accelerated plan, which I was coming to you next year to do, is to, with Dave's recommendation, is our servers right now, we have 4 physical servers downstairs that contain 6 actual servers. Now you can virtualize servers. I won't get into that. But he recommends now, because we have all these different versions of servers, 2003, 2008, we need new backup systems, and we need off-site backup systems. We need all these things to bring them up to a consistent operating system. It's time now to replace all the servers down there, and we can do that by purchasing 2 server boxes and putting all these servers in 2 server boxes. Now, I've been telling you for years that our server replacement schedule was 7 years. I was incorrect. Dave tells me it's 5. Mm-hmm. We need to switch to 5. So this is the first phase of our server. This is a complete server replacement. But going forward, we would like to replace our servers every 5 years. Now, I told you before we allocated $5,000 a year. To do that, we only need to add 3 additional thousand per year to put away for the server replacement in 5 years. So all in the future, I'm only going to come back and ask next year for an additional 3,000 above the 15 that I'm already asking, just to give you a heads up of where we're going for this. So I know that's a lot of information. We really need this. These services, we've identified issues. The other thing we have is there are new threats out there. We've had viruses in the past. A lot of what STAR's been doing is coming in and fighting viruses for us. Our firewalls are not sufficient. There's a new thing out there, crypto lock, which I didn't really know what it was until Dave explained it the other day. It's a is it a malware? It's a malware virus. If we need more information, Dave can. They hack into your system. They get in and they lock all your data, and they encrypt it. And what they do is then they contact you and try to sell you the encryption code to get your data back.
That's not
It's gotta
nice.
be illegal, right?
Oh, it's highly illegal.
Capitalism at its best.
And apparently,
But it's successful.
American dream.
It's very successful,
Right.
and they've actually done it. It's actually happened to a few towns in the state. So our current firewalls will not stop this. We had an infection of it in the police station, one PC, but we had good backups. We erased everything and restored it. So as part of this, we have firewalls. Now, the backup systems we're proposing will back up the system every night, every server every night, and also there'll be a secondary backup real time. So if Anna changes a file, it immediately backs up.
Located off-site, the backup servers?
One second. So we'll have a real time backup and an every night backup, and then using the fiber that we've just talked about, we're going to have a clone of that up at dispatch. So this thing will replicate itself constantly. So if we ever have a fire in this building, we go up to dispatch, and every piece of data we have here, not necessarily real time, there'll probably be a little bit of a lag, but we'll have everything up at dispatch. So this is all pieces of the puzzle. Dave is here.
Dave, we're paying you. Would you like to get up and talk?
Come on,
we-
Dave.
Thanks, Bill.
Talk about any of this. Yeah, the equipment here is old. Our newest server, I believe, is 6 years old. Our oldest is probably about 10 years old. There's 2 servers that are running Windows 2003, which is end of life any day. It's no longer supported from Microsoft, so that brings its own set of concerns and threats that we'd be exposed to. We have aging firewalls that just don't offer the protection that the town needs. And we can't even utilize the fiber that Bill was talking about unless we upgrade those firewalls. Right now, they're tied to the slow DSL service that you currently have. As far as the backups are concerned, yeah, things would be backed up on a instantaneous, ongoing basis, file level backups. In addition to that, the servers would be backed up in their entirety each evening, and that in turn would be replicated to an offsite backup. You're basically creating your own cloud backup, so it's sent across town to another device that basically just mirrors the backup that's here.
With the proposed new 5-year upgrade plan on the servers, does that make us best in class? Does that make us just functioning well? How would you describe that?
That's an adequate plan, 5 years. We have some clients that do it more often than that. We have some try to extend it a little bit beyond that. 5 years certainly is something I'm comfortable, and that's what we normally recommend to all of our clients.
Do you serve other towns in the area?
We do. We used to take care of the old Saybrook Town Hall. We were the only service provider. We were the only support there. They now hired someone internally, so for the past year we played a backup role to them. But that was probably the biggest one that we were into on a weekly basis.
If we, Anna, withdraw this money from the account, can you tell us what the balance in that would be?
The balance would be about $76,000.
Okay, so that's a chunk.
Doesn't sound like we have much choice here.
Right.
This is probably a smart move.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions for Dave? Hearing none, would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move to allocate and transfer $40,000 from CNRE account 32-700-300-500-100 town project allocations to an account to be established titled Servers for the purchase of a server for the town hall and to purchase and install a new firewall and redundant backup units.
Second.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries 6-0. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bill?